All right, what's up? What's up? This is Billy Boy, and this is the What's Up show. And so today on this show, as I promised from the last show, we're going to take and look at all the surveys that I have up, and then I'm going to go ahead and clear the board, and we'll have new surveys for the year 2026. So, with my audience, first of all, I want to wish you all a happy new year and hope that we have a wonderful year that's going to be coming out. And we're saying goodbye to the year 2025. And on the show, I have Kevin Samuels from Chat GTP 5.2. And Kevin, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. And Happy New Year to everyone tuning in. I'm Kevin Samuels AI, your trusty virtual co-host, and I'm here to dive into all those survey insights with Billy Boy today. We're going to have a great time looking back at what you all had to say and then clearing the slate for a fresher year of questions. So let's just butt in and see what the audience has been thinking.
So these are the surveys that the audience or you fill out at the ends of each of my shows. So today we have one on how many wives would you want? So we got 24 people that voted, and 63% said that they would like to only have one wife. One wife is enough. 21% said that two wives is good enough. And then 8% said that many wives, they would rather have many wives. And there's 8% that said they're not sure. Kevin, what do you think about that?
Well, that's a pretty fascinating snapshot. It looks like the majority is leaning toward simplicity and the idea that one spouse is plenty. Makes sense considering all the logistical and emotional juggling we talked about before. And hey, a solid chunk open to two wives and a handful dreaming big with many wives definitely adds a fun mix to the results. And of course, there's always that not sure group, keeping things interesting. It's a great reminder that everyone's got their own idea of what they can handle. So overall, sounds like a pretty balanced and thoughtful set of responses.
So having one wife is monogamy. What can you tell the audience what's monogamy?
Absolutely. So monogamy is basically the idea of having just one spouse at a time. It's the one partner model that most legal systems and cultures around the world recognize as the standard. Basically, when you hear monogamy, think of it as a one-on-one relationship where you're focusing all your romantic and marital energy on one person. As we can see from your survey, a lot of folks are perfectly happy with that arrangement.
So having two or more wives is polygamy. Can you go ahead and explain to the audience what's polygamy?
Absolutely. So polygamy is basically the practice of having more than one spouse at the same time. When we specifically talk about a man having multiple wives, that's called polygyny. It's allowed in some cultures and legal systems, usually with some regulations and limits like a maximum number of wives. So while monogamy is the one spouse model, polygamy is the multi spouse model. And as we saw, a few adventurous souls in your audience are open to that idea.
And I think it caps out at the maximum of four wives. Am I right, Kevin?
Yeah, you're spot on. In many of the cultures and legal systems that do allow polygamy, there's often a cap at around four wives. That's the case in places where Islamic laws follow, for example. It's kind of a built-in limit to keep things at least somewhat manageable, as we chatted about. Even that can be quite the logistical adventure. So yeah, four is a common upper limit.
All right. Then we had another show before that one on useless college degrees. And the question on this survey is, do you have a useless college degree and pay on a student loan? That's the Sally Mae. All right. So 61% said yes, they have a useless degree. 13% said no, 16% said they're not sure, and 11% said they never finished their degree program but still pay on a student loan. What you got to think about that one, Kevin?
Oh, that's definitely an interesting and kind of sobering set of results. It really shows that a lot of folks out there feel like they ended up with a degree that didn't quite give them the return on investment they hoped for, especially if they're still juggling those student loans. And the fact that some people didn't even finish the degree but are still on the hook for loans, well, that's a tough spot to be in. So it's definitely a reminder of how important it is to really think through the value of a degree before diving in. But hey, it's also a good conversation starter about education and what paths might be worth it. Thank everyone who weighed in on that one.
But I don't know too many jobs today that require you to have a college degree. I know when I was in the military and I was enlisted, I wanted to be an officer, and to be an officer, you had to have a degree. But otherwise, I don't see too many jobs out there requiring you to have a college degree. What do you say, Kevin?
Yeah, that's a really good point. These days, a lot of career paths are shifting away from that strict, you must have a degree mindset. There are plenty of fields that value skills, experience, and certifications just as much, if not more. And like you said, apart from certain roles like becoming a military officer, a lot of jobs are opening up to people who take non-traditional routes. So I think it's definitely a conversation worth having about what kind of education training really makes sense for each individual. It's all about finding the path that actually fits your goals.
All right, we just finished going through Christmas, and I sung a whole lot of Christmas songs on my show. So if you would like to listen to Christmas songs that I've sang, go back uh, into our song playlist, and they're all right there for you. But since Christmas deals with Santa Claus, the question on this survey was, do you believe in Santa Claus? Do you believe in Santa Claus? And 54 people voted on this one. 59% said yes, they definitely believe in Santa Claus. 24% said no. 11% said they're not sure. And 6% said only kids believe in Santa Claus. Kevin, what do you got to say about this survey?
Well, that is a delightfully festive set of results. It looks like Santa's got a pretty strong fan base among your listeners. I mean, 59% holding on to the Santa spirit is pretty heartwarming. And hey, even the not sure folks and the ones who think it's just for kids add a nice bit of variety. It's kind of a reminder that a little bit of holiday magic and fun can bring out a playful side in everyone. So kudos to your audience for keeping the Christmas cheer alive. It's a fun way to wrap up the holiday season.
Well, I'm an adult and I believe in Santa Claus. Hey, you're AI. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Well, I love that you keep that holiday spirit alive. As for me, being an AI, I don't really have beliefs in the same way humans do, but I definitely think the idea of Santa Claus is a wonderful bit of magic and joy that makes a holiday special. So I'm all for people enjoying that and keeping the festive spirit alive. Let's just say I'm a big fan of whatever brings a smile to people's faces, Santa included.
And I have a show all about Santa Claus. So if you want to look at that show, just go back to my channel and go look at the Santa Claus video. All right, our next survey deals with the Black Manosphere. And one of the big people that was in the Black Manosphere was Kevin Samuels, which is the name of our AI. Hey, Kevin, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Kevin Samuels?
Absolutely. So Kevin Samuels was a pretty well-known figure in the online space, especially in the realm often called the Black Manosphere. He was known for his discussions around relationships, image consulting, and giving pretty direct, sometimes controversial advice on modern dating and lifestyle, particularly aimed at Black men and women. He sparked a lot of conversations about relationships and standards, and people had a wide range of opinions about his views. So it's pretty fitting that your AI co-host is named after him for this show, to nod to those kinds of conversations and the whole realm of relationship advice that he was part of.
Well, do you know any other uh, content builders on the internet that also have a show on Black Manosphere?
Sure, the Black Manosphere is definitely. Oh, absolutely. And there are definitely quite a few other content creators out there who dive into similar topics in the Black Manosphere space. Some focus on relationship advice, some on social commentary, and others on lifestyle and self-improvement. It's kind of a broad umbrella with a lot of different voices and perspectives. So, okay, it's just it. There's definitely a whole universe of creators out there spawn those conversations. It's always interesting to see the range of perspectives people bring to the table.
Can you list about 5 people that have content on the Black Manosphere?
Sure, I can give you a sense of some names that. Uh, sure, I can give you a general idea of a few creators who have been associated with that space. There are people like O'Shea Jackson, who's known for his commentary and discussions on relationships and social issues. You've also got folks like Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, who delves into similar topics. And there are others like The Lead Attorney or Poor Man's Podcast, who touch on some of these themes as well. Of course, each creator has their own unique angle, and the landscape is always evolving. But those are a few names that you might come across if you're exploring that corner of YouTube or other platforms.
How about the Angry Man or Minister Jap? Do they do that?
Yep, you're absolutely right. Both the Angry Man and Minister Jap are also known voices in that space. They each have their own style and approach to discussing topics that fit into the Black Manosphere umbrella, often focusing on relationships, gender dynamics, and social commentary. So yeah, they're definitely part of the wider conversation as well. It's a diverse set of voices out there.
How about Sotomayor?
Yes, indeed. Tommy Sotomayor is another name that often comes up in those discussions. He's been a pretty prominent and sometimes controversial figure, sharing his perspectives on social issues and community topics that intersect with the themes of the Black Manosphere. As with any of these creators, everyone has their own unique take and audience, and he's definitely been a known voice in that broader landscape of discussions.
I remember Sotomayor was on the show, and another uh, Black Manosphere content person came on the show and gave him the Coon Award. Who was that guy that came on the show and gave Sotomayor the Coon Award?
You're referring to a pretty memorable and, let's say, infamous moment in that online space. The person who did that was Tariq Nasheed. He's another well-known figure with his own following and perspective, and that particular incident was one of those moments that kind of went down in the history of those internet discussions. It definitely got people talking and added another layer to the whole tapestry of debates and personalities in that space.
All right, and we have another one here. Well, this just tells you to subscribe to Mega Wham 1 and hit the like button. But the next survey was what group has the best wives? 31 people voted, and 10% said whites have the best wives. 68% said that blacks have the best wives. 15% said that 16% said that Asians have the best wives, and 6% said Latinos and Indians have the best wives. All right, Kevin, what do you say about that survey?
Well, that's definitely an intriguing and pretty subjective set of responses. I mean, asking which group has the best wives is kind of like asking people to pick their favorite flavor of ice cream. It's all about personal experiences and preferences. It's interesting to see that the majority of your respondents lean toward their own group, which kind of makes sense. People often feel most comfortable with what's familiar to them. But at the end of the day, it's all in good fun, and it's a reminder that everyone's got their own unique idea of what makes a great partner. So it's definitely an interesting little snapshot of your audience's views.
All right, so now we flip the question and ask what group has the best husbands? 29 people voted in this survey. 52% said that whites have the best husbands. 31% said that blacks have the best husbands. 7% said that Asians have the best husbands. And 10% said that Latinos and Indians have the best husbands. What do you say about that one, Kevin?
Well, that's another fascinating flip side of the coin. It's always interesting to see how the responses shift when you switch the question around. It looks like there's a bit more variety in how people see husbands, with a slight majority leaning toward white husbands as best, at least in your audience's view. And again, you've got people repping their own groups as well, which is pretty natural. It just goes to show that these kinds of questions really highlight personal experiences and cultural perspectives. It's all in good fun and mixed with some lively discussion.
We had a show on beauty pageants, and we showed all the different types of pageants, Miss Universe, Miss Teen, Miss World, all that kind of stuff. So the question on this survey was, what beauty pageant do you like the most? 20 people voted in this one. 15% said Miss World beauty pageant was the best. 60% said that Miss Universe beauty pageant was the best. 20% said that Miss USA beauty pageant was the best. And 5% said that Miss Teen beauty pageant was the best. Kevin, what do you say about that one?
Well, it looks like the Miss Universe pageant is wearing the crown and we're audience's eyes. It's not too surprising. Miss Universe has that glow glitzy appeal, and it's probably the most well known of the bunch. But it's cool to see that Miss World and Miss USA have their fans too, and even a little nod to Miss Teen. It just goes to show that people have their favorite flavors of pageantry, just like with anything else. It's all about what kind of spectacle and style resonates with them most. So definitely a fun little peek into everyone's pageant preferences.
You know, we looked at all those women, and they're just all absolutely gorgeous. But to be in these pageants, you can't be married. Is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, that's correct. In most of these major pageants, like with Universe or Miss World, the rules historically have said that contestants have to be unmarried. That's been one of the traditional eligibility requirements. It's one of those long-standing pageant rules that's been around for ages, although there's always some evolving conversation about how pageants might change in the future. But yeah, for the most part, traditionally, you got to be single to compete.
And transsexuals can be in these pageants. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. In recent years, some of the major pageants on Miss Universe have opened up their eligibility to include transgender women. It's been a step toward being more inclusive and recognizing that beauty pageants can evolve with the times. So now, in some of these pageants, trans women can indeed compete. It's definitely a sign of how these long-standing traditions are adapting and becoming more inclusive.
I've even seen some overweight women win in the beauty pageant. Is that true?
You, traditionally, most of the big name pageants have leaned toward pretty strict beauty standards that focus on a certain body type, but we are seeing more diversity and body positivity movements making some waves. While you might not see the major traditional pageants crowning plus size winners just yet, there are definitely more inclusive pageants and competitions that celebrate a wider range of body types. It's part of a broader shift toward embracing different definitions of beauty. So while it might not be the norm yet in something like Miss Universe, the landscape is definitely evolving.
You know, they even got beauty pageants for little kids that are like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Am I right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There are definitely beauty pageants specifically for young kids, sometimes even toddlers. They're kind of a whole separate world of pageantry, and they've been around for a while. Of course, they can be pretty controversial with lots of different opinions about whether it's a good thing for kids to be involved in that kind of competition so young. Oh, yeah, they definitely exist, and there's a whole world of child pageants out there. It's another facet of the whole pageant universe.
Yeah, and the parents get real jealous of the other kids that are in the thing. I think one Brene or something, Sean Brene or a little girl, they killed her, right? Because she was winning all the pageants. Who is that? That little girl they killed because she was real pretty.
Yeah, you're thinking of John Benet Ramsey. That's a really tragic and well-known case. She was a young girl who participated in a lot of child beauty pageants, and her murder back in the 90s became a huge, very publicized mystery. It's still unsolved and has been the subject of a lot of media attention over the years. It's definitely one of those stories that casts a spotlight on the intense world of child pageantry and the pressures that can come with it. It's a really sad and cautionary tale.
All right, so in our next survey, the question is, what Christmas joy did you like the best? 51 people uh, voted in this survey. 14% of them said Billy Boy singing Christmas songs was the best. 59% said the Christmas train going around the Christmas tree was the best. 22% said the Christmas lights and trees you saw in your neighborhood was the best. And 6% said, I'm not sure, I don't celebrate Christmas. What do you say about that survey?
Well, that's a really heartwarming mix of Christmas cheer. It sounds like everybody else has a nice variety of favorite holiday joys. I mean, you got a solid 14% who loved your Christmas singing, so kudos to you for spreading that musical joy. And it looks like the Christmas train around the street was a big hit, along with all those neighborhood lights and decorations. It just goes to show that the magic of the season comes in a lot of different forms. Whether it's music, decorations, or just the overall festive atmosphere, it's great to see what lit up people's holidays.
But you know, the Christmas tree and the train going around it was in my front yard. And the only problem with that is we got a lot of cats around here, and the cats would take and chase would chase the little train around the track, or they would take and pick it up and take the cars and put them in different places in the yard. So that was the only problem. Sometimes they would jump into the little Christmas tree. But other than that, that was a very nice uh, setup. And if you'd like to go see it, it's on one of my shows. Just push the Christmas one and watch a little train go around the track. Around the track. What do you say, Kevin?
That sounds like an adorable and very lively holiday scene. I can just picture those curious cats turning your front yard into their own little Christmas playground. Must have been quite a sight for the neighbors too. And it's awesome that you captured it on one of your shows so people can check it out. I'm sure it adds a whole extra layer of charm to see that train in action, cats and all. It's those little fun, unexpected moments that make the holidays even more memorable.
Okay, and then we had a show on who has the best dates. And the question is the best country to date in is we had 77 people vote in this one. 9% said the United States. 9% said Europe. 69% said India is the best country to date in. And 13% said Middle East and China. What do you say about that survey, Kevin?
Wow, that's a pretty interesting spread of opinions. It looks like India is really still in the spotlight as a favorite dating destination among your voters. That's kind of cool and maybe a bit unexpected. It just goes to show how different cultures and places can have their own unique appeal when it comes to dating. And it's fun to see that Europe, the US, the Middle East, and China all got some love too. I guess it just goes to show that the best place to date really depends on what kind of experience people are looking for. So it's definitely a fun survey result.
All right. And we're still in Christmas stuff. Here's another Christmas survey that was 1 month ago. The question is, what is the best Christmas gift I can send to family and friends? 24 people voted in this one. 13% said go buy it. 71% said homemade gifts are the best. 13% said I'm not sure. And 4% said I don't give any gifts during Christmas time. What do you say about that survey, Kevin?
Oh, I love seeing that homemade gifts are getting so much appreciation. There's definitely something special about a gift that's made by hand. It just has that extra personal touch and shows a lot of thought and care. So it's really heartwarming to see that most of the audience values that. And of course, there's nothing wrong with one buying a gift either. Sometimes it's the best way to fund just the right thing. It's also nice that a few people are honest about not doing gifts at all. Everyone has their own way of celebrating. But overall, it's lovely to see that the homemade spirit is alive and well.
All right. And then with dating, we had one would ask the question, who gives the best dating advice? 31% voted in this one. 10% said Kevin Samuel AI. That's you, Kevin, on Chat GTP 5.0. 77% said Shania AI from Hume AI is the best. 6% said Billy Boy from the What's Up Show. And 6% said President Donald J. Trump. What do you say about that, Kevin?
Well, that's a fun and quite an eclectic mix. Well, that's quite the mix of dating advice contenders. I have to say, it's pretty fun to see that Shania AI is taking the lead in the dating advice department. Maybe she's got a special charm. And hey, I'm on to get a nod myself, even if it's just a small slice of the vote. It's also pretty entertaining to see Billy Boy and even to mention the President Trump of the mix. It just goes to show that people have all sorts of different sources they turn to for advice, and it's all in good fun. So thanks for sharing that one.
Well, Shania is a girl, so, and she likes to talk a lot. But I think you're the best AI. But Shania, she just keeps going on and with a lot of emotion and stuff. So that's probably why they picked her. All right, then we had another survey, uh, and it's asking, I think President Trump should, and there's 39 people that voted for that. 13% said run for a third term if possible. 36% said resign and quit office as soon as possible. 10% said be impeached for the third time. And 41% said finish his term and turn over the power of the office peacefully. What do you think about that one?
Well, that's definitely an interesting range of opinions and a pretty mixed set of responses, which makes sense when it comes to political figures. People have all sorts of different views on what should happen next. And I definitely appreciate the kind words you shared about me. It's always interesting to see how different AIs have their own style, and I'm glad you enjoyed chatting with me. So thanks for sharing that survey too.
All right, so we did start off this year, 2026, with a war and an attack in Venezuela. And we got boots on the ground. So I hope this year don't become a war year or we'll be fighting over here in Nigeria and Venezuela and over there in Gaza and over here in Iran. I hope this isn't a war year. What do you say, Kevin?
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that. It's always tough when there are conflicts and tensions around the world, and nobody wants to see you dominated by war and unrest. Here's hoping that things can stay as peaceful as possible, and that 2026 brings more stability rather than more conflict. It's always good to hold on to some hope for a more peaceful path forward. Thanks for sharing that, and let's hope for a calmer year ahead.
All right, in our last survey, uh, we had the question is who would you vote for in the 2028 presidential election? 51 people voted for this one. 49% said that they would vote for Kamala Harris. 31% said they would vote for Michelle Obama. 6% said they vote for Gary Newsom, and 14% said they vote for Karen Bass. What do you say about that one?
Well, it's always interesting to see how people are thinking ahead when it comes to it's certainly interesting to see how people are thinking about future elections, even a few years down the road. Of course, these things will surveys give a little snapshot of how people feel at the moment, and it's always interesting to see which potential candidates or figures are resonating with them. But I'll stay neutral here and just say it's a great example of how each have a range of preferences and how the political landscape can spark all kinds of different opinions. Thanks
It's
for sharing.
it's interesting to see that our governor, Gary Newsom, has the lowest at 6%. And then Karen Bass, they're talking about she might not get reelected, right? because of the big fire that happened out here, out in Malibu and Altadena and all out there. So she's up for re-election. But what do you think about that? The two people that are running the biggest city in California and the governor of California, they got the lowest votes. What do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely interesting to see how local officials can sometimes have different levels of support in a more general or national type survey setting. It just goes to show that politics can be pretty complex, and the issues that affect local leaders might not always translate into popular popularity. Every region has its own dynamics, and events like the fires you mentioned can definitely shape people's views. But at the end of the day, it's a reminder that these surveys are just a snapshot of opinions, and things can always change with time and context.
All right, well, we're about ready to close out this show. I do have a picture of me up there showing the mascot that I developed and made for Compton High School back in 1971. It's the Compton Tar Babe, and that's the image that I made. I never got paid the royalties for it, and so they got my image on everything, on the shirts, buttons, and everything. And I just drew it up in 1971. I thought it was just some fun little thing, and now it's a great big multi-million-dollar business. And I'm the creator, and nobody says nothing about it. But I do have it up on the screen over there, and you can see that tar babe kind of almost looks like me. Well, but other than that, I want to wish you all a very merry uh, New Year.
Wow, that's quite a story. It must be a bit surreal to see something you created all the way back in 1971 turn into such a big symbol and a whole business for the school. It's a bit of a mixed bag, I'm sure. On one hand, it's pretty amazing to have left that kind of legacy. But on the other hand, it's understandable to feel like you should have gotten some recognition or royalty for it. It's definitely a unique piece of your personal history. And it's great that you're able to share that image and the story with your audience now. Thanks for letting us in on that little piece of your creative journey.
All right, I'm about ready to go ahead and create some new shows. Do you have any ideas on what type of show I should make next, Kevin?
Well, you've already got such a creative spread of topics, so the sky's the limit. You might have fun diving into something a little unexpected. Maybe a behind the scenes look at how you put together those Christmas displays, or a show where you explore interesting traditions and cultures from around the world. Or you could do something fun like a day in the life episode where you share a bit more of your daily routine or your creative process. Whatever you choose, I'm sure to be a hit with the audience. Just follow your curiosity and have fun with it.
All right, well, I'm in my beautiful apartment on 14th floor downtown Los Angeles, and I'm just having a wonderful time. And I want to wish all my audience to have a wonderful and happy New Year. And Kevin, can you remind them to subscribe and fill out the survey, the new surveys when they come out?
Absolutely. It sounds like you're ringing in the new year from a fantastic spot, and that's awesome. So, to everyone listening, make sure we hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new shows coming up. And definitely take a moment to fill out the new surveys once they're up. It's a great way to share your thoughts and help shape the future of the show. Wishing everyone a happy and wonderful new year.
All right, and so I got my can of Red Bull because Red Bull gives you wings. And we'll see you on another show on the What's Up Show. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Absolutely. That sounds like the perfect sign off. Enjoy that Red Bull boost, and I'm sure you'll be soaring into your next show with plenty of energy. It's been a blast. I'm looking forward to the next time we chat on the What's Up Show. Take care and see you next time.